I sleep. I'm not doing this all night. And now she's.
Yeah, they don't know balance.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're totally like dogs on the furniture, dogs on the bed. Like they are a little family. My coworkers over at Sheridan, though, a few of them were like, "Oh my God, Mel, what?"
I feel like it's the stress of trying to keep them off those things is way
Oh
too
yeah,
much.
yeah. And they're pack animals. They want to hang out with their fam.
Beg our dog to come on the couch. Like, please hang
Please.
out. Like, too good.
I didn't think my old dog ever used to get on the couch, and then one time she didn't know I was there, and I came like out of the shower, and I was like, oh, and she's sitting on the back of it, and I was like, that's why it's all warm.
Oh.
Turned out she was doing it all the time.
She's like, don't
only when she thought I was gone.
Okay, well, let's get this ball rolling here. Let's call the meeting to order. Let's do roll call. Why don't we start with Elizabeth, and we'll go around this way.
Sure, Elizabeth, regular member present.
Lana, alternate member present.
Thank you.
Mel, staff liaison present.
Mike Chisholm present.
Fitzgerald, member present. Scott Wallace, guest.
Tracy Sabina, member present.
And,
Rick Emmelheinz present.
okay,
Logan
Thank you,
Dunning,
everybody.
member present.
we do have a quorum. Thank you, Rick, for making the effort to get on here. I always feel good when we had a healthy quorum right off the start. So we'll call to order and welcome Scott. You're the star of the show tonight, so we'll give you center stage here in a minute.
Well, right now, this isn't even letting me connect to Chrome, and my presentation's on Google Chrome, so I don't know what to do.
You didn't bring your puppet show or anything?
Well, I can definitely
You could do that.
I have a tap dance.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna hold you to that.
I can also hotspot you my Wi-Fi too.
Okay,
If
yeah,
that'll
because
help.
this isn't letting me connect to what I need to connect to.
Okay, well, we'll kill some time here for a few seconds and let you
Okay.
try to
Problem solved.
connect or whatever you need to do. Okay, we need to approve the minutes, and it looks like we've got the minutes from last month, October. Any corrections, adjustments, modifications? The minutes? If not, do I entertain a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, and a second?
Second.
And a second, thank you, folks. Okay, we can move on. Okay, public forum, and if I'm correct, Mel, this is where we change the order so the public can
Oh, yes.
talk to us early on in the meeting. Do we have anybody from the public who wants to talk to us? Oh, Logan's here. Hi, Logan.
Hey, guys.
LD. If there is not anybody from the general public who wants to ask questions or give us input, we'll move on to the next item. Okay, upcoming tasks and events, standing committee projects and reports. What have we got? Logan, typically you have something to say under this category. You have anything to say?
Just a quick update from last month. I did send Mel, we need to meet, the subcommission for communications needs to meet before our December meeting to stay on timeline for the spring magazine. So I sent Mel a handful of times toward the end of the business day today. And so I asked her to help me send around a doodle poll to gauge availability before our December meeting. So we'll meet, we'll discuss potential content and topics, and we'll bring that to the December meeting to pitch to the group for full commission approval.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Logan or clarifications or anything?
No.
Boy, we're just flying through this agenda here.
We've been really efficient lately.
How
Stuff
are
in
we
the
doing
air.
with Scott's connection? We have any luck?
We're getting there.
We're getting there? All right. And again, we're gonna expect you to tap dance here in a minute.
Oh, I got you.
Let's just maybe move down an item or two, and maybe Mel can talk about the quarterly newsletter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tracy had something to
Yeah,
report as well?
Well, I just wanted to, just under the community projects, just put a shout out to Logan, who showed up for my work day at Barrett Park, and transforming a portion of it into a native plant garden. So thank you, Logan, for coming out for that. And it's going good. I mean, we've had a lot of good response from just the neighbors that are stopping by just to ask what's going on. And there's still a huge pile of mulch. So I'm gonna be there this weekend. So if anybody is like, ooh, I wanna go and throw some mulch around, I'll be there at Barrett Park on Sunday.
Where
If you
did
wanna
the mulch
send
come
me
from?
those dates and times, and then
Yeah.
I'll post it just so
Oh,
you all are good
cool.
and don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yes, yeah, because having more hands is definitely makes it go faster and it's more fun. So, yeah, it's been good.
Good
Yeah,
show.
good feedback. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mel, is there anything in there you can talk about while Scott's still connecting?
I'm connected, it's just
Uh-oh.
really slow.
You're good to go?
No,
No.
no, it just
We'll skip to
barely
the
loaded
next-
the first slide out of like
Alright,
25.
alright, well, we can
We'll pivot.
give an update or something here.
So we can jump to the quarterly newsletter. I don't know, hopefully you all saw it in the email. I don't know if you have any edits or additions that you wanted to make to it. And if y'all want me to pull it up too and run through it, I can do that too.
What's the group one? I read it, I thought it looked great, but
yeah, I didn't notice anything changed.
And also, you all are Christine, you all are absolutely welcome
okay.
to
Oh,
come to
Tracy.
Watson Work, and if you know businesses or even your job that's interested in it, it's a completely open invite. We're asking people to RSVP so we can get a good head count for pizza, but no matter what, we're just gonna overdo it and have extra slices for people to take home. But Rick, I see your hand up.
Hi, Christine.
Yeah, a couple things I noticed. I just wanted to bring them to your attention. Nothing big. The link, I'm trying to get back to it. The induction stove link. When you get to the Englewood Library where it says view our new reservation site, there seems to be some issues under Kit Keeper. So you might want to look into that.
Oh, on the library site, there's.
Right, when you get to the library site and you reference people to go to the, to sign up for that, there seems to be an issue with the Kit Keeper link there.
Yeah, I will definitely reach out to them.
Good
on
for you,
that.
Rick. Thanks for spotting that.
I
Sure.
wonder if that's a new thing because so we got a really awesome feedback from our librarians that the reservations for those completely booked before it even launched. Like there was a wait list for it.
That's great.
So I wonder if that's like a new bug they had because it had to have worked at some point if they got those initial ones through.
Yeah, I had a couple other things. Sorry, I'm being a little anal here.
No, not at all.
Learn what home energy rebates you're eligible for. This is my teacher coming in here.
Christine might have fixed this one because I think,
Did you
is it
fix
under
it?
the resources?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to, I got 6 screens open and there we go. Where, yeah, it's just the dangling participle thing.
The dangling which thing?
Participle. You got a dangling preposition.
Oh, yes. I think Christine already edited that.
Okay.
I don't think I did that one.
Did you get that one?
Where is he at?
Is that,
Rick, where are you at?
are you at the learn what home energy rebates you're eligible
Down
for?
at the learn what home energy rebates you're eligible for. You might
Got
want
it, got it.
Did you get that one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So not ending it on a 4.
Ending on 4, and then the last sentence ends on of,
Uh-huh.
and I think that could be reworded a little differently.
Got
That's it.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the YOU, RE, that's fine. There's not one.
Okay, I used to be a writing tutor way back in the day, and I will still, just because I'm typing too fast, mess those up, and I'm like, oh my god, I know what they are, and I still get them wrong sometimes.
It's always see that episode where the Ross goes on. YOU, RE, you are. That's how I remember it.
I need to print out a picture of Rob.
Okay, are we good on the newsletter? Okay. Scott, how we doing?
It's taking a second to
All
download
right.
some images.
We can kill a few more minutes here. We're technology bound here. Mel, can you give us a tree protection ordinance update? What's going on?
Or do you want to,
What do you think?
jump to the sustainable grant awardees, because that
Doesn't
might
matter.
be
Just pick an
shorter.
item, whatever works.
I don't know if that's shorter for you all,
Oh,
but,
I'm sorry. You were still on the newsletter.
no, this is, oh, I don't think I have this in the agenda, that's my fault. Just
for it.
reviewing the sustainability grant awardees, now that time has wrapped up, I thought you all would be interested about the projects that were funded.
Okay.
And are in process. So everyone, I think, is already very familiar with the induction stove rental program. I won't go over that. You all have heard that beyond belief. The other one, I was gonna hand it over to Tracy if she wanted to talk about her project.
Yes, I teamed up with Compost Colorado, and because they had brought it up in a meeting, and I'm like, oh, I was thinking about applying, and we discussed doing sustainability libraries at the compost drop-off sites around Inglewood, just to further the education around composting, but then just sustainability resources in general. So they're going to be little green libraries at Inglewood Rec Center, my home spot, because I'm a drop-off site, and then Row and Gather is the other site, but they already have like a resource place inside their little market. So they said that they would pass on having one at their location. So then I asked if we could do it at Baird Park, which is the park that I'm doing, and that's going to be a perfect implementation of that. So, yeah, so that's one of them.
I'm so excited for that one. Parks, when I was like, do we have the green light to do this? They're like, yes.
That Tim had told me that he had spoken with you, and he was like, oh my gosh, I love it.
What is that actually gonna look like? Like, how will the material be displayed?
How will the material?
Yeah, like, is information in books or like just on signs
Anything.
or?
So I mean, if you think about the little libraries
Yeah.
that are around, I mean, in essence, it'll be kind of like that, but the focus will be on sustainability. And it can be anything, from books to we could have newsletters in there, we could have QR codes that people can scan and be like, oh, I want to learn more about Compost Colorado, and so that's kind of our vision with that, and all kind of using sustainable material, like reusable, and so we're not buying anything new, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we're excited.
Tracy, I just saw that this, and please tell me if you're like, no, that I do not like that, but I think with the Sustainability Commission also wanting other avenues for communication with people, like this is so
Yes.
perfect, right? Like a hub for people know that they can go there to get the latest like sustainability related news.
100%.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's so great.
Yeah. So.
Is there anything we can do more to help you?
Sure.
But
So
not that we've done much to begin with, but I mean, there's something we can do.
On December 4th, I had met with Compost Coco, and we're gonna do a work day on December 4th, I think is the date. And we're gonna come to my house, and, because I have a workshop there, and we're gonna just start building, and, yeah, just having a fun, creative workshop day. So, and if we don't have a time yet, I will know that tomorrow, and then I can email you with
Would
that, because that would be fun. If anybody
Would,
from the commission
would
wants
you
to
be
show
so
up.
kind as to maybe send a blip to Mel and then Mel could
Sure.
shoot it out to us just to remind us,
Absolutely.
like,
Yep.
where, when, that type of thing? 'Cause
Yeah,
if I could be there, I'll be there.
yeah, absolutely.
Do
So,
you-
and I'll send a blip about the park stuff and then also the little library.
You said the construction would be at your house?
Yeah, we're gonna just have the first kind of, you know,
Intro.
let's
My
get to.
only caveat, not to be the party pooper on it, just as a legal standpoint, if there's 2 or more
Oh.
members, it has to be open to the public. So like, will they go? Maybe
Oh.
Oh, I
not.
forgot about that.
Um,
Debbie Downer.
I know.
Sheesh.
I have
Well-
to wear the city hat.
Well, I'll stand out in the driveway. How's that? And you can just yell
With
out.
a sign being like, I support you.
Oh, yeah, I'll do a video and I'll mic in with directions and
Yeah.
I'll just be in charge from afar.
So if you opened it to the public, I mean, what does that look like?
You gotta let people in your.
There could be thousands of people that show up.
It could be really invasive is my only concern. But
Yeah.
if there's like one person from the commission that's like, I would love to do it, and it's for sure just a one person thing, one other person, that's fine, but it just can't be like, everyone gets together and it's a not public meeting. That's a
Okay.
big poo-poo.
How does
So-
she have to announce it though? Could she just put something in her yard that only her neighbors would see, which wouldn't be as invasive?
So if it's anything sustainability commission wise, if you all member wise getting together, it has to be posted online on the city website. So like for the volunteer project that Tracy had, we just put it on the website saying like, hey, many members might be here at this time during this date. So then you all are in the clear, right? So if people come, they know. But when it gets to someone's private residence,
Yeah.
I just want to be cautious.
Whatever you're comfortable with, Tracy.
So invite, rescind it.
You can send me a
Just
secret
kidding.
invite. Don't let Mel know, just send me an email. Okay. I'm the only one coming in.
Is that rule just if they're discussing sustainability commission business?
It's, we went back and forth with this before for the city attorney and they err on the side of caution always. But if it's like, say like a event or something, like say the block party. Like a lot of you probably go to the block party, but we're not gonna schedule every event on there just because you guys might run into each other. But something like that where it's like sustainability related, like that is very,
Yep, okay.
yeah,
that makes sense.
overlappy.
Good to know. So if we held it at more of a public location?
Yeah, and if
Private?
you want it open to people to come and help and it's at a public one, like, yeah,
I'll talk.
something to noodle on.
Okay.
Sorry,
I
have a follow-up.
appreciate that. I don't wanna, you know.
I have a follow-up question on that. Do you need to collect, like wood or other things for that? Like donations? Do you need people to donate things?
Sure.
Because for some reason I've got a lot that I'm like, I don't know how to have all this. And
Yeah.
it's not terrible. I
Oh,
was
let me-
looking
No, that's
at
a,
the whole thing that went sideways on me.
well, and that's why I said, just come to my workshop, because I have so much stuff, but I'll take whatever you want to.
It is yours for the taking.
Thank you.
Okay, going through the rest of the projects, we have speaking of compost, we have a neighbor compost drop-off. There are a few houses that got together and they're getting a large compost receptacle and they're all gonna share it.
Cool.
Which I think is super cool. And they said they got buy-in from all their neighbors and really holding them to that. And then another one, which I just love this, I love all of them, is a puzzles/game swap event. So if you have an old puzzle or an old game that you're just not using anymore, this person is gonna set up this event before the end of the year where you can come and bring your stuff and swap with your neighbors and get to meet your neighbors. Which I love.
I saw it already. I saw it.
Really?
Yeah, it's on November.
It's November 23rd.
Is it the 23rd? Sorry, I saw the side of the.
Oh, perfect.
So I was just like,
It's my neighbor down,
Oh,
just
cool.
right down the street. It's Rhonda.
I love Rhonda.
I know, Rhonda's great.
but I forgot
Yeah,
where it's
and because I just got the e-bite for it, so I didn't realize it was a sustainability grant recipient.
She's like, does this count for sustainability? I was like, absolutely. You're
Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Sorry.
It's at 5280.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Movement 5280.
Movement 5280, got
The
it.
one that's on Logan and Eastman, the big old church that was just converted into Movement 5280.
Oh,
Is
very
that
cool.
what it's called?
That sounds right to me.
Yes. We'll just go with that. Let's see if no, I don't have any.
Well, I'll send out the invite for that one. Tracy, if you have the invite and send it to me, I can send it out to folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one should be really good. The last two is K4CO Radio out in Centennial, got a grant, but all the funds are only helping Englewood students, so that's why they were awarded it. And it's a used instrument program, so they get lightly used instruments and they connect them with students in Englewood schools. They're gonna do these like interviews with people and make it like a whole comprehensive thing.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So really excited to see that one. And then the last one is for Charles Hay. They won a neighborhood resource grant the year prior for a bike storage. And now they want to take it a step further with a bike fix-it station. Do you guys know what that is? Like the ones that have all the things on it?
Yeah.
And they're gonna install that, and then they have a teacher that's gonna teach students how to fix their own bike.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
That's
so those
fun.
are our grantees for this year, and really excited to see what they do.
Good.
Yeah.
How are we doing? Are you done?
Scott,
I got it up, but I don't know, how do I get it up there?
Okay, does your thing use a USB-C?
Yeah, I brought this, but this is like a direct connect.
Oh, we have, hold on, let me see. Worst case.
Okay, that'll work,
Yes.
hopefully.
So plug this in. This in. And then we're gonna work this on.
I grew up with flip charts. Magic markers.
When it is a new computer, sometimes it's like, I'm gonna take 10 years. We can also.
Do I have to get my,
We can also have it through the link that I sent you earlier. You can join the teams and then share your screen that way too. So they. Yes, that one.
No, I have a question while that's, while that's getting connected. So does that, for those grants?
I need this browser just so I can do them.
Yeah, I would do browser because you can
I
share
was just curious.
screens to
That's
this
right.
tab.
I was just
My
curious.
hearing's terrible, that's why I'm always sticking my fingers in my ears.
Mike, did you know that the AirPods 2 coming out are hearing aids?
No, but I need to get one.
I'm not knocking you, I'm just saying, I just read about it and
Yeah.
they were, the testers said they were better than the hearing aids they were buying.
That's good news, because
Yeah, that they like
as
picked.
my hearing shrinks, I need more technology.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we'll see what happens with it, but
If you find out anything, send it my way, will you?
yeah.
I saw the Ray-Bans with live captioning. Did you see that while people speak, it'll do live captioning for you?
I'll
It's
use that.
really cool.
I
It's
turn on
really
live
cool.
captioning in
crazy.
all like my virtual meetings, just so I can follow, like, it's easy to follow along.
It's, the technology's getting better, but this room in particular is terrible for me.
It's the-
There's just echo and all kinds of stuff going on, so.
Mike, we can always choose different rooms too if this one is not a good one.
Well, I don't want to upset the apple cart or
We
anything.
got.
Just yell at it.
We
can change it.
I just,
I think the smaller one.
Another
Thanks
option
for
too,
the
if
offer.
you wanna email me the link to yours and I can put it on while you use it.
So this is like Google Slides, so really the only thing that allows me to do is share it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, if you add me as
Yeah, the
contributor, I
kind of
think.
hearing test and things like that. That to me is pretty like, oh my god, this is easy.
Yeah.
That's my,
Oh,
I'm getting
then you
messaged
got
by
it.
someone.
If you're wearing them, you know, if you're sitting at dinner or whatever.
Oh, right. That made me think I was talking to our director of public works, because I feel like he has the most stressful job. And I was like, how do you remain so calm? And he's like, well, before work, I just listen to Indian flute, and that's the only thing I listen to.
I used to have a
I-
colleague,
You are.
I did not think I
we
was.
would take 24 students to
Yeah, my
Mesa
husband
Verde
gets
here,
it.
and he actually played.
Got them for the kids and then.
Oh,
they're gonna walk by before you
I just
know
think
it.
it sounds so awesome.
Yeah, you go on like the petroglyph trail and
No, I don't.
it just
That would
echoes
be-
off the canyons.
That's right.
That's cool.
I think I've seen it.
It has like numbered stickers. Verify or click the sticker.
Is it addictive?
Yeah, my friend's like 7-year-old was doing it last summer. I'm starting, I got no. Stop watching there.
Anything that you can like multitask, like the meetings, I sort of get distracted when you're like off my top cam and I'm just gonna listen.
I'm not gonna talk on the phone. Call these people, I'm like, looking at my phone and social media stuff with the stickers.
Yeah. Last year, our Burton's, my kid's stocking, he's 7, but somebody had these and he got really into them and then I think they disappeared from his viewpoint. He has a kind of job for their like IQ games and then they'll like start with these puzzle pieces here and then make them all fit and it takes a while to try and find the pattern. Yeah, well, I mean, when they're out of sight, out of mind, and they're not gonna dig any further than it's right here. But I found those
Did it show up?
pretty.
Yeah, but it's saying verify it's you. Google will send you a code, and I got it, but then it won't do anything else.
Yeah, Google doesn't play well.
Oh,
with
I
it.
got it. Okay, it said that's not the code, but.
Yeah, like I think, honestly, yeah, like I was down, like, there you go. See if I can get my kids more.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, then it's like, it's new, but it's not new.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
All right, let me just share my screen really quick, and then we are
Oh,
good
yes.
to
Yeah, you
go.
don't have nothing, I'm like, why are you looking for a fight for them?
I can't play Monopoly.
Yeah, that's why.
If I start winning.
And my husband and I, we didn't.
All right.
We took no, we went after it. I went to a hotel, you owe me $500.
Scott, just tell me when you want me to advance stuff, and I'll click forward.
Done.
All right, I'll just say go. Go. All right, I'm Scott Wallace, and I'm here to present my SAGE program. Go. Okay. SAGE stands for Sustainable Agriculture, Green Energy. Go. Again, that's me. I am a teacher at Colorado's finest alternative high school of choice, actually. So it's in Inglewood Public Schools, and we are completely in Inglewood. We're located basically just at the old Sinclair Middle School, if you're familiar with Inglewood at all. Basically, we have kids from all over the Denver metro area. We've had kids from as far down as Sedalia, and right now I have a student in my class that's coming from 144th and like Washington and Thornton and they ride the bus for 2.5 hours to get to our school. So yeah. And we have lots of different programs, career and technical education, which is what my SAGE program is. I also teach STEM. I'm STEM certified, so I teach in the mornings. I teach science, technology. It's called STEAM at our school because we have so many artists, and we add that in, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Then I have a regular science class, regular meaning just, yeah. I'm teaching nutrition in that class right now. It changes every 6 weeks. And then in the afternoon, I have my SAGE program, which is an agriculture program. So it's career and technical education as well. So not only do I teach the kids about agriculture, but they're getting science credit for it because I am science certified. And then also There's a focus on what I call entrepreneurial skills instead of employability skills, because nobody wants to work for somebody. That's the way I put it. So we have a big focus on resume building skills. Whatever you're doing in my classroom, you should be able to put on a resume and impress somebody with it, whether it's STEM class or science class, or it's a project-based class. So we're constantly working on big projects and transforming. I was given the backside of the school, which is 1.8 acres. And at this point, we have about 3,000 square feet of either raised bed or in-ground bed gardens. But we have plenty more to actually convert. You were talking about composting. This is actually a picture of me just when I was turning the compost. So we actually have 3 bins that are 8 by 8 by 5 foot tall. So we can make 20 yards of compost at a time. I have people from around the neighborhood that are actually contributing. We get obviously yard wastes from all over the district, number one. I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a couple of gentlemen in Inglewood that actually grow culinary mushrooms. And so any of their excess growth media comes over and goes into our compost bins. And then actually the lady across the street, who is a former student's mother that I've known for years and years and years, she actually goes around to the grocery stores on Saturday, and anything produce that's still usable that they can't sell, they give to her, and then she takes it to food banks. Anything that the food banks don't want, she brings it back and puts it in our compost bins. So we reuse and recycle everything. Yeah, and like I said, we can do a huge amount. Each of those bins basically is about 15 yards that they can hold. So we produce a huge amount of compost. We let people come and get it, like neighborhood people come and grab it by the trash bag full and take it. Go. Okay. It's agriculture content, but the kids get science credit in my class. So I have 2 classes, actually 3, and the second 2 rotate. I'm always teaching the Introduction to Sustainable Agriculture class all year long. The Biology of Sustainable Agriculture is a semester-long class, and then the Chemistry of Sustainable Agriculture is a semester-long class. I'm a former microbiologist. I did that for a couple of years. I actually was a scientist at National Jewish Hospital, working in the pediatric psychiatry department, doing research on babies born with asthma or born to parents with asthma. So I'm a former scientist, and I love science. Credit that the kids get, they can either get biology or science credit for my class, depending upon what area of focus that they actually choose to do. Okay, go. So topics, this is just a small list of some of the major topics that we focus on. Obviously, all the plant science, all animal science. You can't teach agriculture without that. We like to focus on hydroponics and aquaponics. My kids are way more fond of aquaponics because of the fact that we get to grow fish. So yeah, so we do both in those systems. They learn greenhouse management. I actually got a grant for $75,000 and built a greenhouse on the property. And so it's a functioning greenhouse, and we do plant propagation and actually grow lots of crazy stuff. You'll see some pictures. Landscape and garden design. Not only have I been a teacher for 34 years, but for 31 years I was a landscaper in the summertime. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Bonsai Nursery, just on South Federal over here, just down the street. I grew up with the Maliks who owned that, and when I decided I was either going to become a landscaper, a landscape architect, or a teacher, and then I found out I could do both. And found actually my childhood friend whose family owned that nursery by accident. And so we landscaped together for 31 years. I'm a Japanese garden expert and a bonsai expert. So I actually incorporate that into our curriculum as well. We teach permaculture. I teach how to use the land to its best benefit, so that the kids get an idea of how they can actually convert even just small yards and things like that. Teach them how to garden even on a apartment balcony. We've got lots of different ways to get gardens in people's yards. Animal husbandry, obviously, that's a big draw for my program. I teach agriculture. You don't do a whole lot of raising of cows and horses in the middle of an urban area, so we actually focus a lot on the animals you would find in an urban setting. A lot of pets and things like that, and how to take care of them in the proper way so that they can at least use that information as they go out into their lives. The one that really flips people is the fact that we actually have 6 reef aquariums, and we actually propagate coral, so that people can have coral without having to go out into the wild and procure it from that. So yeah, we grow and sell that. One of my favorite things that the kids do, and this is the thing that really works for neighborhoods, and we go out and like do presentations on this, is wildlife friendly gardening. So how is it that you can actually take an urban area and make it friendly to some of the plants and animals and things that were already there? We have a whole big spiel about it, and the kids are always doing research. Teach irrigation, obviously. One of the biggest things about my program is we try and convince everybody that lawn grass is the devil. They're going to have to, I tell this all the time to my students, you're at some point going to have to decide, do you want a lawn or do you want to be able to flush a toilet? Do you want a lawn or do you want to be able to take a shower? Because that's the point we're getting to pretty soon. I always talk to the fact that if the Platte River as it used to flow before we actually put in the Moffett Tunnel and all of that, it would dry up before it got past Highlands Ranch because of all the water usage just to mow water lawns. And so that's a huge thing, is how do you actually irrigate things so that you're using the water that we have wisely. Obviously soil sciences, teaching them how to best improve soils so that we can actually not use up so much water and get a good yield on whatever we're trying to grow. Composting, as I said, and then just simple food production. How do you grow plants to their best benefit so that you can make food? And we actually have given some of our food away to Cafe 180 that we grow.
That's cool.
A lot of it to students and families in the neighborhood, but a lot of it we've given over time to Cafe 180.
I can attest it's really good. Because I got it after I did the tour at your guys' place. I was like, this is the best tour ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Go. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about some of the things that my kids are doing. So this is actually, this is a STEM project that one of my students did, where he designed actually this aquaponics system from scratch on just a simple shelving unit. And so he got this up and running. Most aquaponic systems, you want to grow fish, and the fish are usually tilapia, which is this weird cichlid that's about this big when you get it, and you grow it up to about the size of an eaten fish, so to speak. And you buy it for $2 and you sell it for $4. And then, you know, maybe a restaurant will sell it for $15 on somebody's plate. That isn't really a good bang for the buck for me, because number one, those fish are big and ugly and stupid. And so what we do is we get, for about $1 a piece, we get about 100 Japanese colored carp koi. And you get, for $1, you get a fish about this big. And within probably a year and a half, you can grow it to about this big and sell it for like $70. So yeah, we're able to do that. Now, if you look at this, you think about food production. But, and this was when it was originally designed and the students set it up, it was full of lettuce and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But eventually the lettuce goes to flower and gets bitter. And so then it sat for a while over the summertime, and it started growing. Well, I decided, okay, we'll teach the kids how to do biofuels. So that algae mat there that's in the bottom, you can actually take that and turn it into a biofuel. And so we did a project based on that, trying to figure out yield that we could get for biofuel. And then something kind of crazy happened. One day we were doing a bunch of propagating of agave plants. Agaves do offshoots, and so you can actually pop those off once they start to grow. And we didn't get done. And I didn't want them to dry out because we'd pulled the whole agave out of the soil and put the mama plant back in to its pot, but we had all these babies that we didn't get finished with. So I threw them into the trays. And what happened was, it was agaves and aloes. They went crazy. They started growing like mad. It was very strange. They were doing way better. The ones that were in the system were doing way, way better than the ones that we had potted up. And so we started doing a little bit of research on it and putting different various things in there. And so we even had one aloe plant that grew so fast that it flowered. And it's one of the species we've never had flower in our greenhouse. So I was like, whoa, there's something going on there. So yeah, the top up there, that's actually a bunch of sprouts of lotus blossoms. So those are actually desktop lotuses that one of my students is doing as a project, and they're going to create little pots of actual mini lotuses that she can sell and make money off of for the program. Go. This is a shot of the greenhouse. This is actually not this year. It's way more packed than this. It's full of stuff. So if you notice, we've got lots of plants being propagated, trays full of seedlings and things. We do have a plant sale in the spring where we sell food plants, tomatoes, peppers, herbs, all kinds of whatever, lots of different flowering plants as well. But in the background, what you'll see is we actually have some succulents. Agaves, we have aloes, we've got probably 20 different species of aloes. There's one there that's actually a shrub aloe, Aloe racemosa, that is endangered in the Namib where it comes from because it's been poached so much. And we've actually gotten that one to flower. Unfortunately, we don't have two of them because they are not self-fertile. So we have to get somebody who has another one so we can actually propagate a endangered species.
Could we put that in the newsletter?
Yeah.
Need plants.
Yeah, put that on out there. Actually, if you look going up the cooling rack there's a stem that goes all the way up. That's actually a tree aloe, which is another endangered species, also known as the quiver tree. And they get about 40 foot tall. That one's only about 6, 7 foot. So we've got all kinds of different crazy little projects that the kids are doing. Different kinds of research things to get science credit. Go ahead. That's just a display. That's not an aquaponic system. That's just straight up growing seeds for the spring plant sale. So they actually decide in the about this time of year, I'm going to be getting them started on deciding what we want to do with our gardens outside. So it's all their decision. Each kid gets about a 5 foot by 10 foot plot of their own, just to do with whatever they want in the spring, plant as they want. But then we've got 50 by 50 beds that they can plant in, and a whole bunch of raised beds. The raised beds kind of took over by the people in the apartments across the street, which is fine with me because I don't have to take care of it during the summer because there's no kids around. But what we do is whatever plants that they decide they're not going to use out in the gardens, we go ahead and put in our plant sale. Go ahead. I teach plant anatomy. This is just actually a picture of one of the students decided that they ate a peach one day and they wanted to sprout it. Well, I told them they had to stratify it because they don't just sprout on their own. You have to actually give them a little bit of a cold spell. And so they actually put it in my little mini fridge and forgot about it. And so then at the end of the year, we actually pulled it out, and now we have a little, actually this is actually now growing in the aquaponic system until we get it into some soil. So yeah, but it was nice to be able to teach plant anatomy using that. As I said, one of my favorite things is wildlife friendly gardening, and we've taken this all over the place. So basically what the idea of wildlife friendly gardening is, you turn your yard into habitat, okay? And by doing so, you're actually basically undoing urbanization. Go. So this graphic here actually, and that's one of the other things, my students do all this digital design. They've created all these posters. So what this is showing how urbanization, metapopulations, and wildlife-friendly gardening coincide. On the one side, you've got the urbanization, which fragments habitats and things like that. Whereas with wildlife-friendly gardening, you can actually create metapopulations. And what metapopulations are small pockets of whatever organism it is that are close enough that they can actually transfer genetic material and therefore have basically a real population without having all large connected habitat. So putting in small aqua features in your yard, actually taking a section out of your yard and creating, just planting it with wildlife or wildflowers. You know, and obviously we're not trying to bring lynx into Inglewood. Not that we don't get a stray cougar every once in a while, but hey, that's the one thing. I had we have chickens, and we had a hawk kill one of the chickens. And I told the kids, you know, when we teach about wildlife-friendly gardening, you have to either provide food, shelter, or water for these organisms to get them there. Guess what we did? we provided the birds of prey with some food. So I didn't begrudge. Because actually I'm of a generation that in the 60s and 70s, I was a young man before I ever saw birds of prey because of DDT and how it had damaged the environment. So any hawk or eagle or anything that I see, I consider that just absolutely amazing. Yeah, so basically that's one of the things that my students get out and provide information. One of the things as far as the teaching pyramid, you know, you can sit there and listen to something, you can read about something, and you go down, and the only time you're actually really 100% learning everything that you do is when you teach it. So that's why I try and get my students at some point to be able to teach whatever it is that they're learning in my classes. Because if you can actually talk about it knowledgeably, you're going to be able to keep it in your memory for a long time. Go ahead. Just some examples of wildlife-friendly gardening, that stuff we see around our gardens. One of the things that I have the students do, everybody loves bees, right? Well, everybody always thinks honeybee. But what we do is actually create bumblebee nests all over the school grounds. So we're constantly tearing out, we find money, tear out a section of our grass and put in some kind of garden, whether it be a pollinator garden, a wildflower garden, or a xeric garden. So we're just constantly doing that. And when we do that, we try and put as many bumblebee nests as we can into the place. And we've actually seen an increase of bumblebees in our gardens around the school, where there was just grass before, which brings no bumblebees. We plant lots of plants like the agastache you see pictured here. The cool part about that is anytime you see red tubular flowers, it's almost a certainty that it's supposed to be pollinated by a hummingbird. And we, the last 2 years, have brought hummingbirds into the neighborhood. So yeah, kind of fun. I didn't have a picture of that though. I have a video, but I wasn't gonna link a video, which is good because it would have taken forever to load. All right, go ahead. So as I said, we tear out lots of grass whenever we can, and we try and put in different areas. This one is the pollinator and wildflower garden. One of the things we do is try and talk about how can you create a space where these animals and organisms are going to come, but it's going to be able to sustain them throughout the entire spring, summer, and fall. And so this is a picture of that wildflower garden in the spring. And then if you go to the next one, this is what it looks like in the fall, or actually late summer, obviously with the black-eyed Susans. And the catmint that's going nuts. So that way, you know, all of these things, it's great if you could bring them to your yard at one point in time if they're migratory, but if you got organisms that you have living year round, you want to be able to sustain them and have sources. So this mix that you see here was actually created, this wildflower mix was actually created by my students. So we sourced all the different wildflower seeds and created our own Colorado's finest mix. And we actually give it out when we go on our little road shows, do stuff. Last year we gave it out to 6th graders that came to our CTE program. And so, yeah, we told them, whenever you're walking around, just take some of those seeds out of the packet, throw them in people's yards. Just throw them in spots that look like they're really kind of nasty. We also try and focus on stuff that doesn't need a huge amount of water, obviously. We're tearing out grass. We don't want to replace it with something that requires more water. So yeah, all these plants are mostly xeric. Go ahead. As I said, the one that really kind of dumbfounds people is that in the middle of Colorado, we're growing coral. This is just one of the tanks that we grow here. We take that coral, we actually learn how to propagate it, we separate it, and basically each of those pieces of coral, which is probably about this big right now, started out as something about the size of your thumbnail. So just a few polyps, and eventually they grow into these big, nice, chunky pieces that you then cut into fingernail size again, and then sell them and start over. Go ahead. I have 6 of those aquariums in. The one thing about the coral and any of these marine organisms is they're from the ocean. Okay, so we have to maintain ocean parameters, and with the coral especially, those parameters are very precise. So my students, when I talk about like the chemistry, my students are actually learning about what chemistry through maintaining the water quality. We talk about the cycles in nature that is happening. We put the food in, the food's eaten by fish. We have fish, by the way, but we don't care about those. They're just in there to poop and give everything some fertilizer. We talk about the symbiotic relationships between the algae that live in the tissues of the coral and give them their color. We talk about how acidifications of the oceans and temperature rising actually causes those algae to overproduce, which seems like, you know, it would be something that would be good for the coral because they're giving more carbohydrates to the coral, which 80% of their food comes from those carbohydrates from the algae. Unfortunately, they forget about the byproduct, which is oxygen. Turns out you can have too much oxygen. And so when you raise the water temperature, it actually causes the algae to overproduce oxygen, which causes the tissues of the coral to burn, which causes the coral then to have to expel all the algae, which is what you call coral bleaching. And so that's what's happening in a lot of places around the world. So we have these corals here. Maybe at some point we would have to reintroduce these corals back into the wild. Who knows? This is not coral. These are actually pictures of flower anemones, and we're one of the few people across the nation that's actually sexually reproducing these things. Every equinox, these little guys throw out their gametes, and the sperm goes inside of these things and fertilizes their eggs, and then they release them on the equinox. It's the most bizarre thing. It looks like if you've ever broken open a hacky sack, the little beads that are inside. Yeah, they just all of a sudden are floating around in there, and each of those becomes, so like the 2 biggest ones, those are actually the only flower anemones that we started with. All the rest of them around them are their babies. So, okay, you can go. Different type of anemone that we were actually just this last weekend noticed that it was reproducing itself, but this time asexually. It actually just splits in half, and you can see the second one on the back side there. These are bubble tip anemones. These are actually really cool because they're one of the host anemones for clownfish. We have one clownfish. It's completely black. The kids call it emo Nemo. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead. This is Bun Bun. Bun Bun is our therapy rabbit. So he's there to help, you know, the kids understand. He was supposed to be there just to help them understand animal husbandry, but he actually ends up on people's tables while they're doing their work, in their laps, doing that. He's notorious for eating right through earbuds. Unfortunately, he likes to chew kids' headphones off their devices. But he is the star of the show. Go ahead. One of the things that kids do, this was actually a STEM project where a student, we get lots of things gifted to us. We got a couple of crested geckos. So the students actually came up with this bioactive terrarium, did the research about New Caledonia, where they come from, and what kind of habitat they would actually require, and created this, it's actually a big, large terrarium for crested geckos. And those actually end up on people's, crawling all over kids during the classes. It's a menagerie. Go ahead. Speaking of endangered species, these are axolotls. They're not really endangered in captivity, but in the wild, they actually are a salamander relative that never metamorphoses into the land dwelling. They stay in the water their entire lives. But because the lakes in Mexico City, where they're from, are absolutely polluted, they are endangered in the wild. That you don't find them in the wild anymore. Again, these were gifted to us at 2 different times within a month. And within a month, they bred, and we ended up with hundreds of baby axolotls, which just made me so overjoyed. So then we watched as they hatched, and the parents ate them all. So then we did the research, and we knew, okay, now we got to get them out of there. So we took the eggs out, and the second generation, they hatched, and they all died because they didn't have any food. So the kids, I knew exactly what had to happen, but I let the kids do, because they were so excited. And
you gotta crush the drink, right?
Yeah, you gotta crush the drink. And so then they had a third generation, and they're just prolific. It's just ridiculous. And so we had already set up a thing where you have all these little Daphnia and Moina, which are just small protists that the babies will eat. And the babies all started to grow, and they started doing well. And we had like 75 babies, and it was all well and good until it became the axolotl Hunger Games, because the ones that grew the fastest ate the other ones. So then we did the research and found out that you have to put each one in a small little cup, and you have to change the water in that small little cup. And so now we just do the Hunger Games, because I'm not going to waste an entire day changing water in cups.
You don't want 100 little cups with 100 little babies?
No. So we have like 4 or 5 little axolotls from different generations, and they're the survivors and the winners. And yeah, and we get to sell those.
You have to name one of them Katniss, I feel.
So here's the thing that the kids also get really annoyed with. They ask me what the names of all these animals are, because we have snakes and we have the axolotls. And I tell them I don't name anything that doesn't come running when you call it. So Bun Bun has a name, because Bun Bun will actually respond when you call him. But the snakes, the axolotls, none of them have names. Which
to you, they don't have
No,
names.
the kids have absolutely named these. I don't even know. It's goofy.
How big are these, the adult ones?
They're about that long. Yeah, they're decent size. And they are the most derpy animal I've ever seen. They're goofy. But the kids love them, so go ahead. As I said, we also, one of the first things that when I opened the program up was we built from scratch a chicken coop. And by chicken coop, I mean we built a tiny house. It's 24 foot by 12 foot coop, and then it's a 48 foot long run. It's big enough to hold between 45 and 60 chickens. When we get that many, we always end up with a raccoon problem, so we don't do that. But the kids, every spring we raise new chickens, and because usually there's some dying off. We don't like the raccoons much, but we have a hard time catching them. So we don't raise them for meat, we actually raise them for eggs, and we sell our eggs to whoever, or we give them away to different people. Sometimes when we have an area where people can come get clothing and stuff, a community area, and we'll put the eggs out there for them as well. But teachers buy them from us, and we make enough money to actually keep feeding the chickens, so they're self-sustainable. Go ahead. Obviously, they grow up into big old giant monsters. We don't actually breed chickens because it's just, I would probably get shot by the people across the street in the apartments if I had roosters. Number one, what we found is we tried that, and unfortunately, because of all the lights on the school, they don't know when it's day and when it's night, so they crow all night long. And yeah, I was verbally accosted so many times. So we got rid of all the roosters and any roosters that we actually have had come up since. But the chickens actually, that's part of the coop behind them. The art teacher had a mural class, and so the kids have painted the chicken coop. And they get to, every morning when I get there, I open it up and they get the run of that 1.8 acres. As does Bun. Bun goes out and runs around with the chickens and does all kinds of stuff, and just comes in at the end of the day, jumps back in his coop or in his hutch and says, "I'm tired." So, go ahead. As I said, we convert lots of areas. In this particular instance, I went with some of my expertise, and we decided, actually the kids decided on the Zen garden to replace an area that was actually grass that was not doing well. And so this is what we call our contemplation garden out in our courtyard. On the other side of that, we've actually got a perennial garden, a display garden that was converted from just a big pile of dirt. Go ahead. We do have functioning and working honeybee hives as well. So kids are actually out there maintaining those and doing all the stuff to keep the honey. We have in the past, we had 3 hives, but slowly, unfortunately, if you see the lids on those things, we get nosy neighbors and they'll pop those off. And if the temperature's below like 75 degrees, they lose so much heat that they can't maintain the 95 degrees that they need to maintain to hold their brood. And so because those lids have been pulled off by people, we lost all 3 of our colonies, but we do have a giant colony going right now. With the honey, we just give it away to the students. The students love the honey that doesn't make it past them. But we do actually take the beeswax, and we have a project where we actually make our own lip balm. So we make our own chapsticks out of that and lanolin and whatever fragrances they decide on, flavors. Go ahead. Oh, the one thing too is that with the bees, we love the honeybees, but we actually not only do the bumblebees, but the solitary bees as well. A lot of my students will actually, for an extra point or two, will actually create, I have them just create the solitary bees. So the mason bees, the leaf cutter bees, the blueberry bees, all of those solitary bees, we actually love to get in our yards because one of those bees can do the pollination of 120 honeybees. They're actually much better at doing it, and they pollinate the native plants. So we have lots of solitary bee nests all over the sage area. So I also teach the kids to do some trades, teach them to use tools. I said we had the chicken coop. The very first time I actually brought out a level, there was not a single kid in that class who actually knew how to use that level. They didn't know what it was for or what it was. But by the end, they were actually, they constructed really nice chicken coop. So yeah, and I teach them to weld. In this case, this student was just making garden art. You can see the love and the peace sign and the heart, and just little signs to stick in the gardens. It's just a way to get them started on plasma cutting and basic welding, and then we go into more detailed welding if they so choose. We, as I said, we do like to do a lot of outreach. We had a little get together for community in the Sage area last spring. We had a station where people were planting seeds. This is actually a birdhouse painting. We had a competition for that and a barbecue, obviously. And then I demonstrated how to do a bunch of different kinds of gardening techniques. And we gave away small open wire composting kits for anybody that wanted one. Go ahead. As I said, we take our show on the road. In this particular case, this was students that were talking to sixth graders in the district. We had a day where every sixth grader in the district came through and saw all the different CTE programs. And this was one of my students talking about how you grow a bonsai. That particular bonsai right there is 50 years old. That's actually a olive tree, an actual real like edible olive tree. So talking about how that's supposed to be a 35-foot tree and it's in that pot for 50 years. And then what they're doing right there is showing the kids potatoes. So they asked them, how would you like it if you had fries made out of this? And then they cut it open and they're bright neon purple potatoes that we grew. We grew about 50 pounds of purple potatoes this year. And then the jade plants, any kid that actually answered the most questions, we gave one of those kids a jade plant. And that's not just any jade. Our gym teacher's grandma had a jade plant that she had had since like the gym teacher's mom was a little kid. And she had inherited it. She took it home. She didn't know how to take care of it. It was almost dead. She brought it in. It grew really nicely. And then it grew so nice that we propagate off of it. And so that's Jenna's grandma's jade. That's the variety name for it. And that's all I got to say about that. That's just a wide angle of our chicken coop on a really nice morning. Any questions?
Anything you need?
Actually, we were going to do one of the sustainability grants, but we were going to, actually our proposal was the kids, because I got my kids, we spent probably a week on figuring out what it was. And everything in my class is always a competition. Like when we did the design for the Zen garden, when we did the design for the wildflower garden, it's whoever has the best design, you're the one that gets to implement your plan. You get to be the foreman of the job. And so the one that won for our design was to do a bird-friendly garden. So a garden designed with plants that would actually attract birds and features in the garden that would attract birds, bird houses, bird things. Unfortunately, the problem is for us to actually design it, get it done, we couldn't have gotten it done before the deadline of December, because who's going to plant right now? So
It's funded for next year.
So
yeah. So yeah, the thing is, I have to get it done before May, because whatever's not done, then I end up doing over the summer.
unless you
It
pair up
opens in
with
April,
somebody.
right?
Well, no, I have to, yeah. I have to be there every day to take care of this stuff,
Yeah.
rain or shine. Yeah, the thing is, the aquariums need to be dosed daily. So yeah, I haven't taken a vacation in 8 years.
I have a question. That was really amazing and inspiring to know that's happening in Inglewood. What proportion of like traditional classroom work do you do versus like the hands-on stuff?
I do a little bit more traditional, like for today in my introduction class, we did more of a traditional kind of thing based on hardiness zones. So just, the hardiness zone map and talking about why does Colorado have so many different hardiness zones as compared to most states only have like one or two. And, you know, talking about the topography, obviously. And so that was, but we can't really get outside on a day like today where there's snow all over the ground. But for the most part, it's like pretty soon what I'll be doing is they are going to do a competition for what each of these gardens going to look like. Who has the best design for how we're going to actually implement the gardens in the spring. So it's pretty much all project based. I have that one class, my nutrition class,
Right.
which is regular, but of these classes, the SAGE classes, it's all pretty much trying to figure out what we're going to do next on big projects.
That's great.
Are the kids in your classes at a quarter, a semester, or a year?
So my classes are semester long, okay? But the school itself is on hexes, so we have six-week sessions.
Okay.
We call them, just sessions. So the classes change every 6 weeks. But I will get, in my classes, the kids who are in the last 2 periods of the day. That's the other thing. We have 8 periods in our day, so kids can start at 7:55 and be done as early as 2, or they can start later, or they can go from 7:55. I'm the only one that teaches 8th period, which is from 3 till 4. My last class isn't done till 4 o'clock, mostly because I have kids coming from other districts just for my program. So they have to get out of school first to come to me. But my classes are always full. And a lot of those kids take it for the entire year. A lot of kids end up getting all their science credit from my SAGE classes. Yeah, once they get in, they don't want to be out.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, and then that, like, what you're talking about, you don't want them to get out. They've got to see it all the way through.
Right.
You know, you don't just want like a quarter or.
Yeah,
6
so
weeks.
like the aquarium testing, we have to do that probably every 3 weeks. And so if I had new kids every 6 weeks, I'd be reteaching how to do that. And I do get new kids. There's a small influx of new kids, but the old kids teach the new kids how to do it. So it's fine.
I do see a hand raised with Rick, and I just want to make sure.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for recognizing me. Where do these kids go after they've done what you're doing with them? I mean, this is enriched stuff. Are they moving into college?
Not every one of them, yeah. Not every one of these kids is going to become or go into agriculture, obviously. I have a former student that he's only been out of school for 4 years, and he's already got his own landscaping business and has probably like 75 clients. So they can take the knowledge that I give them and go straight out into landscaping. I have a partnership with, what the hell is it? It's the world's largest landscaping company. But anyway, our kids are guaranteed a job with them if they complete my program. So they can do that if they want to. A lot of times the kids will do it for a little while and then they realize it's hard work. But they get exposed to that hard work in our program.
Thanks.
So yeah, but the skills that they learn, you know, like the wildlife friendly gardening, the landscaping stuff, that's stuff that they can use in their own personal life. So I don't feel bad if they don't use it as agriculture.
Do you have a summer program?
I actually teach 2 weeks to middle schoolers. So I do something either just like the wildlife friendly gardening or xeric gardening or something like that, just for a chance for some of the middle schoolers to get exposed to it. But I've been railing for summer because I have to be there every day anyway. So I wish I was teaching classes when I was there so that the kids could do all the work. It's totally selfish. Anything else?
I just wanted to quick comment that when I went, it was really cool to see just like the kids are so engaged. Like they are so engaged. You can tell they love it. You can tell you're definitely their favorite teacher. But it was just really cool to see like if every class could be this hands-on and teach kids actual life skills that they'll take with them. Like, yeah, it just was the coolest
It should be
part.
everywhere.
And I have the kids like of the entrepreneurial skills, I have them select 2 that they want to work on every 6 weeks. And I do that in my STEM classes too. So what are you going to work on? What's one that you already have good skills at? And they always choose empathy. And then I ask them what empathy really means. They're like, oh, walk them on somebody's shoes. I'm like, no, that's not empathy. But then, you know, they pick problem solving or communication or whatever. And they actually have to give me like stuff that you could say to an employer that is actually backs it up. Because you could say, oh yeah, I'm an empathetic person. What does that look like? Right? How do you know? How can you say that you're an empathetic person if you don't have proof? How can you say that you're a problem solver, a communicator? What evidence do you have that you can tell that employer? You can say that on your resume, but you better have something to back it up when they say, tell us about how you're a good communicator. And so that's what I make them do. They're like, oh, wait, I gotta prove it. We can't just say it. So, yeah.
What is it? Oh, sorry. So what's the name of the school?
It's Colorado's finest high school of choice. And it's basically Broadway and Bellevue, okay?
Oh, okay.
Do you know where Alvarado's,
Yeah.
like the Mexican restaurant there that used to be the Burger King? It's
Okay.
right behind that.
Kids Connections there.
Huh?
Kids Connections is there in the summer. Right?
Well, I don't know.
I think it is. The gym.
Oh, yeah, the rec center thing.
Well, yeah, okay, like all that. I mean, my kids would enjoy it, like if they got to go see the fish, I'd like,
They do, I let them come out there sometimes.
I'm gonna, now.
They like the chickens, yeah. Yeah, no, I have former students who actually are, like to run that program.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was called.
How much of all your acreage is now totally covered with projects and stuff? Or do you still have room to expand and try new things?
So I have lots of room to expand. The problem was, like my greenhouse is only 24 by 12. It's basically about the same size as it's a small area, but it's tall, which is nice because we can use some vertical space. But the grant was actually for a 40-foot by 100-foot greenhouse that we were gonna build ourselves, me and the kids. The problem was, when we were doing that, getting ready to talk about installing, because they had designed it, the company had designed it for us and was ready to ship us all the materials. That was the same time they were tearing down all the elementary schools, and Clayton actually got torn down. And then when they started doing the digging, they found asbestos tile and old cisterns and things like that, and it took $500,000 worth of abatement. And so where I was going to put the greenhouse is where the old Inglewood pool used to be. And I know that they just took the edges, the concrete where people used to sit their chairs, and folded it all in. And they said if we dig it and we find it and it's got something bad in it, because concrete's not bad, you can just leave it on the ground. But if there's asbestos insulation around anything, they would have to dig it up. And it would cost a fortune to do that. And so they wouldn't let me dig on that side. So I couldn't put that in. So instead, and then somebody said, oh, you can't do that. You're not licensed, bonded, and insured. I'm like, I've built a greenhouse bigger than this. And then what I found out was to be licensed, bonded, and insured, you have to take this test. The test has nothing to do with whether you can plumb, whether you can do any construction. It's can you keep a business afloat? That's all. So anybody who's a construction person who's licensed, bonded, and insured, they know business. They don't know how to do your plumbing. Maybe they do. You better hope. It's scary. I was like, oh my gosh, you can be a contractor.
Oh, question. Are you heating the greenhouse?
Yeah,
How are you doing it?
it's actually natural gas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the BTUs required, you couldn't do it with like solar. Yeah.
No, I didn't think so, but I've like seen it like other ways, and I was just curious if you're like, oh yeah, I got this thing.
Oh, no, I wish I could dig down far enough to get geothermal.
Yeah.
Because that's a great way to do it, and that's totally sustainable, but that also is such a huge upfront cost
Mm-hmm.
to drill down to that level. And we're on a high, we're high up in Inglewood down over that area, so you'd have to drill down even farther to get it down to a significant thermal source.
So you have natural gas piped in.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
impressive, very impressive. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
If there's anything we can ever do, Scott.
Well, I will be tapping into some of those sustainability grants in the future.
Yeah, no,
For
absolutely.
sure. We can always use more funds.
I had no idea what you were up to or any of that stuff. I'm impressed. That's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Thanks.
More, do more.
Oh, yeah.
And my
We've
kids
done
know
more.
about
We actually,
NASCAR.
we were gonna turn all the fences into places to grow hops for all the
There you go. There
local
you go.
breweries. But unfortunately, somehow the sprinkler system got turned off after I did that. Why didn't you do that? Me and the grounds crew don't necessarily see eye to eye sometimes.
Yeah. There's a real drama there. probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you very much. And like I said, now you know us and we know you, so don't be shy.
Well, and if you're ever, one of the things that I'm doing in the future is actually with the demonstration gardens, actually making signage and things like that. My kids will do graphic design, and create signage to like educate people.
Uh-huh.
We'll put it around the fences on the outside, but we'll have it eventually where people can come in, and see what's going on. in
We do a
those
field trip out there.
Yeah, well, just in the community,
Yeah.
can walk through and
It'd be cool.
get ideas for their own yards.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Everybody got all your
Definitely one.
questions answered? Fascinating. Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
Scott, I got one more question, I'm just sorry.
Yeah,
You, over at Charles Hay, I know that the 6th grade class does a little bit of gardening.
uh-huh.
And do you guys ever, are those the 6th graders that come over to your classroom sometimes and see? what
Yeah,
you
they
do?
in the springtime, they'll bring kids from, actually not from, yeah, she comes over. Yeah, I've had Charles say, Clayton always just walks over, because they're right down the street. And so, yeah, they come every year, and we do a tour, and my kids, kind of show them around and encourage them to possibly come to our school when they get to meet high schoolers.
That's cool, because I feel like those 6th graders, like, they look up to the older kids, and that they're like, oh, this is cool. Guess what, I grew a pumpkin, so we are on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try to get back to the agenda. We'll try to get out of here at a decent hour, but this was
Oh,
fascinating.
sorry, I talked a lot.
No,
No, you're good.
No, that's
You're good.
amazing.
Well worth it, well worth it. So, where are we?
We are at the tree protection ordinance.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I put this as 5 minutes. If you all want this as something longer, we can scoot it to the next one. There isn't a deadline on it. But essentially, the tree protection ordinance that you all worked on a couple months ago, actually a handful of months ago, went to the Parks Commission. I think they made like minor edits from what I was told. And then they did the approval on it. So Parks is hoping that it can get a final voted approval from the commission, and then that'll trigger it to go to city council.
Great.
So I put this for 5 minutes, but if you all want longer than that, no, that's totally fine, and we can kick it over to the next one.
It's good to know it's moving along. Okay.
Are we allowed shorter than 5 minutes?
Yeah, totally. If you all know, you know.
Anyone have issues with it?
Let's see, city updates?
Oh, so we're still on the tree protection,
Oh, I'm
because
sorry.
you all have to vote on it.
Oh,
Or if you don't like how it is.
Thank you
and
again.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you so much.
thanks, Scott.
So you vote on approving it, or if there's something you don't like or want to change, like this is your time to do it.
What's, individually, anybody can chime in, and I'll just say I read it, I thought it was good. Nothing's ever perfect, and I'm excited to see something moving along, so I'm comfortable with it. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I haven't read through it, so I can't vote.
That's fine. You
Yeah.
can totally do, you can abstain.
Okay.
Rick's got a comment. Rick?
Hi, it's me again.
Oh,
No.
I thought we were saying I. My fault, Rick. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. It's funny. I got science.
I had a couple questions. Can we go to page 8? Do you guys see that?
Yeah, I can pull it up actually.
And maybe this was covered before. I was trying to see what we covered when we did this the first time, because I don't think this is particularly different from the first time through. My question has to do with 4.7 monitoring. Who is monitoring this? Is this the, our arborist, or how do we determine who is actually supervising this, managing it? Do we, or is this something that council ultimately decides, I guess?
Oh, that's a good point, but on the post, it's the city forester.
Who, does anybody know who the city forester is?
Yes, Evan Anderson.
Okay.
Okay, so this is all going to be monitored by the city forester. Okay.
Well, no, I don't know that.
That's my question, I guess.
Sorry, Rick, can you tell me what page you're looking at? I just got it up.
This is right here. 4.7.1.
4.7. This is on page 8 of my draft I'm seeing.
So this part, the during?
Yeah.
Right, is it one person that's monitoring them?
Would that be Evan?
Yeah, I was under the assumption that it's Evan, but I can definitely ask him if you'd like.
Well, I mean, I think it would be important to have clarification on this, just to see. This is a lot of work. This is, in my mind, a lot to do for the city forester to manage. But I just want to make sure that, they've kind of thought through that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. This seems
And there
like
should
an
be an
enormous
answer.
amount of work.
There should be an answer, so. You're right, I imagine Evan would have a lot to do with that, but I don't have any idea the scale. How much monitoring are we talking about? You bring it up, Rick. Good point.
And what monitoring even means.
Okay, driving by.
What
Driving by,
does
assessing
the word monitoring mean? I guess is where I was going to also. What does it mean to monitor? Follow up. I mean, and then I'm not disparaging developers, but at the same time, if the city has the infrastructure to be able to monitor this, that's fine. But it just seems a little loosey-goosey right now.
Well, Rick, why couldn't code enforcement do it?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
to
there you go. You tell them
But
code
that's-
enforcement's going to
yeah.
do this.
No, great question. Good catch. I blew right through that. I didn't.
I wonder how much it would be, because this is just for those commercial properties and the newer ones coming in, right? So maybe it wouldn't be an overwhelming flow for it, but I can definitely ask Evan what his idea was with that.
I think it's worth at least a question to him. The other one I had, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The follow-up question, Mel, might be also like a quantity. I mean, if he's like, yeah, it's 1 tree a year, then that's one thing. If he's like, yeah, it's 50 trees a month, that's different.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. The other one I brought up was 522, and this is on page 9. This is another kind of open-ended thing. A removed tree can be mitigated by paying a fee to the Inglewood Tree Fund that is equal to $300 for each inch of a DBH removed. Funds will be used to plant new and preserve existing trees in Inglewood. Where in Inglewood? Residential, commercial, city? Just in Inglewood.
I think when he talked about that, this is going up with a hazy recollection, but I think when he talked about that, that was more, that was kind of almost like an ad hoc, meaning that sometimes they would put it towards trees that really needed help. And sometimes they would find places for new trees where they needed shade in areas or what have you. So that's hazy memory, but I vaguely remember him saying it's an ad hoc where they're going to put that where it needs to be.
Okay. And I get that. I'm just not seeing that. It to me, if they're going to run this up the flagpole, they need to have sewn up some of these things, because I'm asking questions that council's going to ask. So I would just ask that maybe that be nailed down a little bit more. This is not precluding acceptance of this, but just kind of a heads up to Evan and the group in terms of putting this together.
Well, there should be an answer, and if there isn't an answer, they need to come up with an answer. That's all. And it could be a clarification. It might be as simple as Evan adding another sentence or two and saying, and this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
But I think those are good questions. Everybody agree? No harm in.
Yeah, I think those are really good questions. I mean, I would have even more detailed questions, like how did they get to this $300 figure? Is that for any size of tree?
Well, I think to some extent, it's arbitrary in that when we first looked at it, we started throwing numbers around, saying there ought to be a cost or a price.
Okay.
And I think we threw it into Evan's ballpark because we said it was too high, that would be considered an onerous restriction. And if it's too low, why bother? So I'm going to guess Evan settled
I
on
don't
that
think
number.
it is an arbitrary number, and I should have
No?
watched the Parks Commission when they talked about it, because I think that would have been helpful,
Okay.
and that's on me. There probably is a reason for the number, and I can
Okay.
ask him that
Sure,
too.
sure.
And I think these are really valid questions, and I just want you all to know that if you all don't want to vote on it today and want to get these clarifying questions and vote on it the next time, that's totally fine. You all are under no deadline to do anything today.
What's everybody
I would
think?
like to do
Let's put
that.
Evan in the hot seat.
I think we should delay for sure.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
I'm with that. I would say that we need to get some clarification.
I think there were some additional questions in the chat as well. Or from
Somebody else,
from the
who's
guests.
that well?
Dana, is that you? I think that's you.
Luciano?
Yes, that's.
I knew it. I was like,
Hi.
Dana. So Dana said in the chat, I think this is a great, other than the requirement that the replacement tree have the same DBH as the removed one. Large trees have less resilience than trees planted when they are small. And then it also says, also it'd be good for there to be a recommended list of replacement trees that require moderate to low water and some that are critical host plants.
Good ideas.
Good thoughts.
That's good critical feedback.
We're adding this to.
So it seems like we're giving you a list of clarification questions.
Yep, and I'm gonna send all these to Evan
Perfect.
afterwards, and I can even try and see if Evan's available for the December one, if you all want him here, if it's voting, if there are any of those lingering ones that he can answer.
So everyone's comfortable with if Evan can talk to us personally, that would be wonderful. Or if he could just answer the questions in writing, that would be okay too. Because he's got a schedule, so. But yeah, I'd love to hear from him, but it might be that he can answer the question. And he can talk to you too, so you can help answer the question on his behalf. So everybody's in agreement. Let's hopefully bring it to a vote next month.
Are there any other clarifying questions though? Because I think it's
Yeah.
better to bring all at once than to.
If we think of, if something comes up, because right now I don't, and I must be honest, I didn't get to read through all of it. Can I just email you with questions?
I've got one. And this has to do with the discussion that came up when I was reviewing some of what we had originally covered, and it was one of the issues that came up, not just for our committee, but I think back to Parks, and it had to do with the definition of what a multifamily house is, or a multifamily unit is. Is it, they were talking about whether it's ADUs, or whether this is duplexes or fourplexes, or, where is that definition? Because I don't think that the city defines the term multi-unit housing. I think that they actually break it out a little bit more in detail there. I would recommend that we get more clarification on that.
Good word. It is interesting because some of these multi-family units may not have room for a tree. So then you get into the next question is, okay, where's that replacement tree going? Is it going down to the city park, or is it going in front of the new supermarket that's being built? And that's definitely a good question. Is a duplex the same as a triplex, is a fourplex, et cetera, et cetera?
No, these are great. Any other questions? And again, if you all think of them, if you're like late night thinkers like I am, just email them to me
Okay.
and I will add them to the list and make sure that they're ready for the next one.
Good. And I think, just to remind everybody, we did struggle with the balance when we first started looking at this between detail's good, clarification is good. On the other hand, perfection is the enemy of progress. We want a tree ordinance passed, so there's a balance in there of how much specificity are we requesting or demanding, so to speak. And again, Evan might bring us back to earth on some of this of, I don't want to go down that path, or please leave it alone. I can manage it. So that's the healthy dialogue that would be nice to have.
That's a good point.
Okay, we good? All right, thanks everybody. Thanks, Rick. Good calls.
Great catches.
We have city updates?
Yes, and these will be fast.
So, you're doing fine.
We were awarded $32,000 for the Fleet Zero grant, which hopefully you all saw in the newsletter, which is awesome. We're so close to just being done with installing EV chargers and we can focus on something else. Induction stove program launched. You all already knew that. Watts at Work event. You already know this one, November 18th. Please come and bring the people that you work with, or your boss, or your building owner. That would be really cool. And the last unfortunate one, but not too bad, is our resiliency workshops that were supposed to happen last week and then tomorrow. They got rescheduled because of the weather. It was just really icy. And at first I was nervous that we're being too cautious. But then the next day I found out that my friend's friend got into a car accident and sliced her head open. So it was icy, it was bad. It was just the call to make, unfortunately. We're rescheduling them for sometime in January. The show will still go on just in 2025. One thing I will say about that, we were really trying to get folks in those high climate vulnerable areas. We got some, we did not get all. So I'm gonna resend the map, and if you all know anyone or know businesses specifically in those areas that we really need folks from, I would love if you would give me their contact information, and I will lovingly bug them. And we will pay them to be there too, if that will help them get them there. Any questions
How
on
many
the?
houses is it? Can you send out postcards to specific?
So we did door hangers for everyone in the mobile home communities, and we actually got one person from that area. We don't know if it's a mobile home community or not. And then we were really trying to get Baker. They've just been a really hard community to engage with in the past. Just city across the board, it's a little bit of a struggle. So we put an A-frame in their park over there at Baker Park to try and get folks. And then Tiana, who used to be on the Sustainability Commission, lives in Baker. So I was like, please, do you know anyone? And she signed up. So at least we had one person from Baker. But there's other ones, like I think it's called Knollwood Village is another one, and just random pocket ones that it would just be great to have folks from the most vulnerable areas there. So now we have more time. I guess that's the other benefit too, to really actually make it an impactful workshop. Yeah, any other questions on that one? We're great. And then the last thing for you all is just your December meeting of what you all would like to have on the agenda.
We already got some
The tree?
material. We have
We got the
tree
tree.
ordinance. Anybody have any recommendations?
We'll probably be bringing the not newsletter, what is our magazine proposals.
Oh. Hey Logan, you out there?
Yeah.
Would you have anything to report next month, or is there anything noteworthy that you would like on the agenda? in terms of your committee?
Just 10 minutes to report out from the subcommittee.
Okay.
Oh, I have one thing on there if you all want to hear about it, but the Sustainability Division tomorrow is undergoing a strategic visioning process. And this is all because of Mike actually being like, I don't know how to tell people about the sustainability program and what it does. And so because of that feedback, we're doing this whole visioning thing so we can make the brochure, which is coming, I swear. But we're doing the visioning first to create a brochure. So if you all wanted, we could tell you the results from that visioning. You all could give
that'd be
feedback
good.
of it.
That'd be good.
Very cool.
And then I promised to be 2 minutes. I'm going to Boulder tomorrow. Remember the regional group of sustainability folks getting together? You got all this stuff to read, but that's moving. I'm real impressed with the folks in Boulder who are kind of leading the charge. It's going to be a public meeting so that all the things we worry about. And the main topic is, based on the survey that they performed, is water resiliency is going to be the topic. And there's going to be 2 speakers. The section chief of the Colorado Water Conservation Board is going to be there, and Boulder's Water Utilities Department representative will talk about strategies that Boulder's using and that community level water management might use. So, yes, ma'am.
Can you bring something up then on that topic and mention that comments are due Friday on Colorado's model green code, model green code. There was legislation that directed that the state would issue model code language, building code, zoning code language, and it includes a huge section on water.
And I'm sorry, that is being due this Friday? Or?
Yeah, the draft is out and comments are due Friday.
Okay.
To the energy office. And so if there's people there that have expertise in water, especially what cities can do for water or what policies cities could adopt, what they could put in their codes for water, it'd be good to put out the word so that they could get that feedback into the model green code.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to have to guess somebody up there is aware of what you just said, but there's no harm in me raising the question and saying, hey, just to make sure.
But probably all the people that are attending may not know about it, but they may have some expertise or opinions. And it would also be useful for people that don't have expertise to be able to say, I would like if my city could get some policy language on this.
Right.
And that should be in the code, so you experts, can you put it in the code?
That's a beautiful example of what this can deliver, that it's a resource. And so I'm becoming more of a true believer as this thing evolves. I was really impressed with the way they did the survey, and they wrote it up, and it's all in that attachment stuff. But there's an energy behind it. There really is. I mean, there's some people that really give a hoot, and they care enough. So I'm going with a good attitude, and I'll take copious notes, and I'll represent Englewood. How's that? And I can report next month on anything that's significant, but that's all. Anybody have anything else that needs to be talked about? Christine, somebody up there is.
I just wanted to confirm. Do you think, Mel, that we can have the answers back on the tree ordinance so that we can put that on the agenda for December?
Yes, yeah, I'm definitely going to put that on. But Evan will definitely have answers to that before a month.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Rick. Christine?
Sorry,
I'm sorry, somebody.
I have
Who's
one
raising
more.
their
I
hand
have
here?
one more other separate question about the like composting of the leaves.
Okay.
In the Englewood magazine, I'm just unclear. It says like there was only like a week in there where we had the city's deal with A1 Organics. Is
So
that
it
the case, or?
spanned about like a week and a half-ish.
Okay.
Maybe even 2 weeks.
I was talking about this with my neighbors. Can you drop that off just like as a private citizen there or not?
You
just
just
have to
can't,
pay?
you just have to pay more for
Okay.
their tipping fee.
Okay.
But you can go anytime you want to A1 or.
Okay, it's just the like week and a half period was just for a reduced fee.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And just an FYI, so this Saturday, Compost Colorado is gonna be at the Inglewood Rec Center from 8 to 10, and they're opening it up to non-members. So if you wanted to bring, and it's cheaper than going to A1 Organics.
Awesome, thank you.
At least for this round.
Did you say Saturday?
Saturday from 8 to 10.
Thanks.
Our leaves did not fall before the snow. I don't,
No.
what is everybody doing? I got nothing to rake up.
Oh, we
Oh,
have
mine were all
so
down.
much.
We just have a whole bunch of snow.
We have leaves in the snow.
Yeah.
I'm composting off-site. So if you have a friend or a neighbor with a big backyard and they don't mind a big pile of leaves, tell them it'll be a fraction of that size by spring. They shrink down tremendously. So I've got an area, my son's back work area, where I'm just throwing a big pile of leaves, and then next spring they'll be perfect for the garden. Okay, anything else? If not, thank you, everybody. This meeting's adjourned. Let's go home.
Thanks, Logan, thanks, Rick.
Gotta run.